This video demonstrates a new user of TeamMap creating a TeamMap team using the TeamMap app installed on their iPhone. As part of this process, they also create a TeamMap account for themselves. There are two decisions the new user will need to make to create the TeamMap account. Firstly, the email address we want to use, and secondly, the passphrase. There are then four decisions the new user will need to make when creating the team. Firstly, the team name. Secondly, a password for the team which will be required by other team members when they join the team. Thirdly, the name by which they will be referred to in the team. And lastly, whether or not they want to share their location with the rest of the team members. Whilst it's good to get all these decisions right to start with, they can all be changed at a later date, especially the decision on sharing location. Finally, if you've never heard of European General Data Protection Regulations, or GDPR, you should have a brief read up on these, because as the team manager of this new team, you will be responsible for monitoring that neither you or any of your team members use TeamMap to store third-party personal information of people without their consent. Let's get started. This is the first screen you'll see when opening the TeamMap app after installing it. Select Create Reset Account and then select Create Account. Now enter the email address you're going to use for your personal account. This does not have to be your main email address, but you will need to remember it when you log it back into the app and be able to access any emails sent to it, for example if you forget your passphrase. For this video, we'll use the dummy email address user@teammap.net. Now enter your chosen passphrase. For this we'll use mice love cats. You'll be asked to enter it twice. This is to ensure your typing was accurate. At this point, you can still use the back button if you wish to change either your email address or your passphrase. And remember, you can still change these later on from within the app. At this point, the new account has not been created. To create it, select Create Account. After a brief pause, the phrase Account Created will appear at the top of the screen. If this is not the case, the most likely reason is that you do not have an internet connection. In that case, move your phone to get a 3G signal and select Create Account again. Now select Create and Manage a Team. The other option presented here will be used by your team members later on to join your team. Now, using the on-screen keyboard, enter the team name, which in this case is going to be TeamMap Video. Now enter the password you've chosen. It's quite a good idea to pick a term that your team members will already know, so you don't need to write it down for them, either in an email or elsewhere. However, as this is just an example, I'm going to use video 4321. As earlier, we need to enter this twice to protect against inaccurate typing. All team members of a team map must select a title by which they will be known in the team. This is most often part of their given name, but in this case I'm going to use the phrase boss. TeamMap provides a very useful capability to share your personal locations across the team. However, this is optional. Choice is given to each user to share or to not share and to change this at any point in the future. In this case, I'm going to opt to share my location. The Apple operating system will now offer you 3 options for the TeamMap app to access your GPS location from a device. Only while using the app, always allow, and don't allow. The first of these options is for apps that display your location to you on a map or use it to filter information that's relevant to where you are. Whilst TeamMap does both of these, it also allows you to continue to share your location with the rest of your team even when you're using a different app or when your phone is in the pocket switched off. To achieve this, you need to select Always Allow. Also, the Apple operating system will ask you if you want to receive notifications from TeamMap. This is up to you, but we suggest you allow it, as the app will only generate notifications if you ask it to do so later on from within the app, and this is totally under your control. If you select Don't Allow now, you can still change it later on, but it's easier to select Allow. You are now asked whether you want to create a business team or a personal team. The difference is that for business teams, a central license fee is paid by one person on behalf of a business, whilst for personal teams, each member pays their own smaller account license fee. You can see more information on this at www.teammap.net. There is, of course, a free evaluation period, which is 10 member months for business teams and 6 months for personal teams. In this case, we're going to create a business team. Now we get to the 2 general data protection regulation questions. The first of these refers to any of your own personal data that you enter into TeamMap. Since Inbox have no access to your data, we cannot check to see whether it might contain your personal information. So you have to consent to this to create a TeamMap team. It is, of course, entirely up to you what data you share within your team, and the best guidance is not to share any personal data you're not totally content to share. Inbox will, of course, ensure that none of your data is shared to anyone outside your team. The second GDPR screen is perhaps slightly harder to understand. It concerns whether or not your team intends to store personal data of other people, third parties, non-team members, and share this, which of course is generally illegal. But it's not unknown for some groups to have a valid legal reason to do this, for example, police forces. Unless you have a similar legal reason, you must not do it and accept responsibility to ensure it is not done, for example, by regularly monitoring new data shared within the team. You can devolve this responsibility to another person, but you cannot devolve it to the group as a whole. GDPR requires one person to be responsible, and this must start with you. So far, the new team has not been set up. This final screen asks for confirmation to create the new team. Once the team is created, you will be shown a list of team members which will show you alone. Please now view the Join Team video so you'll understand what your team members need to do when joining your new team. We hope you get real benefits from using TeamMap.